Well, welcome back to our house, everybody. This one's going to be pretty cool. I was very excited to get a hold of this. My boy Brad, again, mild mannered EDC, sent me over 3 knives, and a couple of them were ones that I really would never normally look at, but this one I specifically requested. I am a huge fan of Voxnez designs. I think he really knows how to make a knife. And this one is no different. So let's go through all those specs, and then we'll talk about how cool this knife really is. So start off in the price. And the price ranges quite distantly, I guess. This is Viper Katla. I don't know why you've already seen that. It's in part of the thumbnail, but whatever. Viper knives, Katla, Voxnez design. Anyways, so the price is anywhere from $150 to $200. There are different handle materials that really make that a big difference. From what I could see, all of them are sporting this wonderful, one of my absolute favorites. There you go, M390 blade steel. But this is the carbon fiber. They have a G10 and a micarta version. And we'll kind of dive a little bit into the handle as well, and I'll put some pictures up. So just so you know your price wise, and this is still quite available. Knife Center has almost every single one of them. Oh, titanium. They have titanium handles. I don't think I said that. And they have like a dark wash titanium for like $175, and that looks sweet. That is just a rad looking knife. And they did away with one of my little nitpicks in that knife as well. So I think, anyways, we'll talk about that. So $150 to $200, somewhere in there. Okay, let's sum that up. Length overall 7.9. So basically we're just gonna say 8 inches overall, which is wonderful, absolutely wonderful. Voxnez, he does a great job. Like I said, he designs some handles so you can get some couple different grip points on them. You know, you can choke up right inside of there so you can get all 4 fingers on there, no problem. This little bit of a dip right here, a little point, yeah, it's not terrible. It's not bad enough that I'd really worry about it. If I do a 3-finger grip where I'm not choking up, you know, it actually rests right where it needs to. It just falls right in line there. So I think that's pretty cool. It's perfectly fine. Great length overall. So it gives the grill emits something to grab a hold of. 4.4 ounces. So a little tip in the scales, you know, kind of usually like 8 inches and 4 ounces. So a little tip in the scales where it's just past that kind of magic ratio that I seem to prefer, and apparently a lot of other people do as well, just because I've talked to people in the comments. So, but regardless, 4.4 ounces, still an absolute great weight and size. Blade steel, I already said, M390, awesome. One of my very favorite steels. I mean, I consider that a high-end steel. I think that it's not a super steel, I get that, but it's at one of the highest end levels. I have never ever had a single issue with M390. I've had a handful of knives that have had it, and it's just terrific. I think it's a terrific steel. So like I said, this is the carbon fiber version. They have, you know, all those other ones already listed. The awesome looking titanium ones, and the micarta ones look really cool. Even the G10 I think looks really cool, and that G10's like $152 or something like that on Knife Center right now. Like, that's really awesome to get everything else, this build quality that this thing has for 150 bucks, I think is really cool, because I think even at this price of like I think this one right now is like 175 for all that, totally worth it. All right, so those are the specs, those are the boring things. Let's get through the fun stuff. We're gonna keep talking about how much I like this knife. That build quality, exactly as I talked about. Just everything to do with opening and closing this knife is so perfectly tuned and tight. There is no, you know, the tolerances we talk about when we're talking about more of the budget end knives. Yeah, it's budget, so we don't mind. You know, there's no flex, there's no give, there's no blade play. It's perfectly smooth open to close the entire time. The lockup, I mean, you can hear that perfect sound. Lockup, terrific, absolutely terrific. You know, just amazing. I put a post on Instagram and said this is probably one of the nice. Ooh, sorry, Brad. It's okay. That's why I got this down. No harm. But anyways, oh man, maybe I'll cut that out. Probably not. He'll watch it and laugh. No harm. So anyways, where was I? All right, I gotta cut that portion out. The build quality on this, and the Instagram post that I put up. The Instagram post, that's where I was at. The Instagram post I put up, I said that this was how a knife should feel. This is how a knife was made. This is like a standard. You know, this Viper, this is the first Viper I've ever held, so maybe they're all like that. I mean, just beautiful. Everything about this, contoured around the edges here, the little bit of chamfering all inside of here. Pick that up a little bit. Oh yeah, there you go. You can see all that. You know, they did nice swells there. Oh, it's just, there, that's a good part. Just amazing. Really, really fantastic. So I absolutely do love this knife. Your blade shape out here, kind of a Tonto, kind of not though, and I'm cool with that. I don't really care for Tontos. You know, they definitely have a secondary grind, as you can pick up right there in towards the end. Changes your grind, but it's still enough of more of a drop point that I really, really like that. I think it works really well. The action on this thing, just fantastic. I mean, just drops right shut. Beautiful, beautiful action. Now, deployment on it, you guys know I'm not big on flippers anymore, but that's a pretty minimal flipper, and the action using it is quite maximum. I don't know, you get it. Tiny flipper, but it works really, really well. They got some good traction on there. See if we can catch that. There you go. Good traction on there through the jimping. And I think, you know, every knife is sort of dialed in for one or the other. And I think it's definitely a little more dialed in for this, but it's not like they forgot about this. Some knives we get where they have a thumb stud on there and it's completely pointless. This one, not so much. I think, you know, the action here, really, really good. The action here, still quite usable. You know, you can get a good flick on it or a nice slow roll. But it's just a little bit different. You know, what are we gonna say? Maybe 60-40, that's probably about right, where they have it more dialed into it. Now, yeah, preference, I would love to see, I was thinking about looking at it, you kind of can't get rid of, you'd have to come back, see how the jimping ends and it's right at where it locks up, so you don't want to mess that up if you tried to get rid of that flipper tab. When it's here, yeah, you could probably get rid of it, but then if you put it towards the back, you can see how much it sticks out. So you'd have to be so close to that lockup portion of it. I'd hate to mess that up. So it would be fun to see though, if they had came out with this no flipper tab and then they dialed in the detent perfectly for this. That might be kind of cool, but they're not going to. I mean, I don't see he's ever gonna go back to this. Overall look and appearance of this thing, we did ergonomics, action, everything else. Overall look and appearance of this thing, that's where my one little finicky nitpick, and I went back and watched Brad's review on this, and not surprisingly, him and I share the same sort of nitpick, and that we're gonna close this back up. Mine is not with, however, I think he didn't really care for this portion of it. I don't mind, I think the brass on this is actually really cool. I like how it's patinaed. You can tell he's carried it a lot. Got some gorgeous patina on there. I think it's really cool. I'm not a fan of lanyard holes, but this isn't that bad. It still kind of keeps the same lines, so that's fine. But his one of the things he talked about too is if you didn't have that, you could move this up a little bit. I agree with him. I don't hate that though. In the pocket, this really isn't that bad. So definitely not deep carry at all. You get this whole chunk sticking out. Now, here's where we agree, and that is this design on here. This is carbon fiber. We all know carbon fiber has that beautiful little woven pattern, and then they do this sort of melted ice cream drip kind of thing. Like, that part I do not get. You know, that sort of takes this, what is basically a very classy, hard use knife. I mean, everything about this thing, you can do whatever you want with it. And it just, I think it sort of makes it look cheap. Like I would have either rather them done one or the other. This texturing that they have up here, kind of a stippling effect or whatever, these wee little tiny pyramids, like that might have been actually kind of cool the whole way down, and then you get some good texture, and you know, maybe they do a section right in here so the pocket clip slips in and out where it stays smooth. I don't know, but this carbon fiber look, like, look at that. That looks pretty cool, you know what I mean? But this, I don't really understand it. And I'll put up a picture of all things. My Carter ones don't have it, and those look really nice. But I think this is the titanium one. Sorry, I don't remember. I took several screenshots of this thing. But I'll put the picture of it right now. They did it on that, and I mean, my goodness, that really ruins that knife. That would have been a beautiful knife. But whatever. I'm not a designer, you know, that's not here nor there, I guess. You got several different options to pick from. If you don't mind all that, it's just a standard nitpick. Overall though, all right, if I'm gonna give this, you know, 9 out of 10 or something like that, that's probably what I would say. And it's just my personal preference that I don't really like this little section right here. Other than that though, I think this is a wonderful knife. Absolutely terrific. So let's get some other stuff laid out here. I don't wanna forget, I just picked this thing up. So lucky. I'm so glad I was able to get this knife. This is a Kaiser Wanderer, and what a beauty that knife is. I absolutely love that thing. Here's a little smaller guy. Do a little comparison in there. That's the Cold Steel Mini Recon. Get rid of the Kaiser. We'll put a few other knives up there, just again, give you a good comparison. There is the Banter, quite a bit smaller than the Banter. And we'll do the Cold Steel American Lawman. That's actually pretty close. It's a little smaller. Bump that up there so you get the idea. There, that's a pretty good little pyramid we got going on. So that's good enough. Look, thanks to Brad again for letting me check out knives like this. This one, I do really love it. I would get a hold of this, especially that G10 one for like 150 bucks. That's pretty sweet. That's a really good price. M390 is one of my favorite blade steels. The action, the production quality of this thing is amazing. So if you're into it at all, don't hesitate. Go pick one of these things up. All right, everybody, take care.